Nobody had more close calls on their life than this man here, Fidel Castro. There have been over 600 assassination attempts, some of them by the mob, Chicago outfit, other crime families, and the CIA. Now, if they can't kill you, nothing will. Rather than cooperate and surround yourself with some of the richest, most powerful men in the world and open up the casinos where everybody can make millions, he's a prick, shuts them down, pissing off a lot of people. Now, if it was up to Joey Aiuppa, boss of the Chicago outfit at the time, he would have killed Jackie Presser because he didn't trust him. He knew he was an informant. Joey Aiuppa warned Tony Salerno. He warned Tony Ducks and a couple of the guys in Detroit that this guy was a snitch, but they trusted Jackie Presser. They knew his father really well, and he ended up ratting on those guys. Now, here's a popular snitch on YouTube everybody seems to like. I never really cared for the man. Frankie Colada, a Chicago outfit associate, and he worked with Tony Spilotro out in Vegas. He came very close to getting killed by the Chicago outfit, and there's a tape conversation between Joey Lombardo and Tony Spilotro talking in code. Joey asked him, what's going on out there? And Tony blamed all his problems on Frankie Colada. Joey told him, take out your garbage. Now here's Lefty, the number one sports bettor, odds maker, and handicapper in the country. They tried to kill him with a car bomb out in Vegas. You could see there on the right, Lefty survived. He was really shooken up over it. And some people thought the Chicago outfit was responsible for the hit. And then later to find out it was the Kansas City mob when they found out he was a snitch. Now, going back to the glory days in the 70s and 80s, some of the Chicago outfit guys, they were actual members and would hang out at the Playboy Club right there in the Palmolive building. Guys like Tony Borsellino, Bucci Petrocelli, and one time, Caesar DeVarco, Little Caesar, he threatened to have Hugh Hefner thrown off the balcony. Hugh Hefner eventually got the message, shelved Chicago, and moved out to Hollywood. Now here's Canito. He survived a botched hit that was ordered by Vince Solano. Vince Solano thought he was going to snitch, and he hired Chicago outfit associate, Chicago cop, Campisi, and Cook County Sheriff Gattuso. These guys botched the hit on Canito. Both cops ended up trunk music after the botched hit. Somehow Canito survived the hit and actually testified against the Chinatown crew. Now, here's a real low life here. There's nothing worse than a crooked cop, especially a crooked police chief. Michael Corbett of Willow Springs, I actually knew this guy. I never really liked him. He used to fuck with me and my friends all the time. But he claims all the mob guys liked him, Sam Giancana, Jackie Cerrone. But one mob guy never liked him was Joey Lombardo, boss of the Grand Avenue crew. When Joey found out he was an informant, Joey gave the contract to Jerry Scalise to have him killed, but it never got carried out. There's Red Wemette, one of the luckiest men alive. Red befriended some of the outfit guys. He wired up his apartment there in Old Town. And when Frankie Schweiss would come over, according to Red, Frankie Schweiss would talk about murders and other crimes that were going on. Red got him on tape many, many nights. And thank God for Red, Frankie Schweiss never found out. Now here's Mario Ranone. I've seen him at the Gus Alex trial. I also seen him at his gun trial. He actually just got out of prison. I hope to God he's behaving himself. But he was he was casing Jeeps for Sam Carlisi. He was actually going there to kill him. When he noticed Rudy Fratto and another Chicago outfit guy in a car, he thought that they were going to hit him, and he decided to cooperate for a short while, then recanted. Now here's Al Pilado. He was one of the bosses of the Chicago Heights crew back in the day. And one day he was actually on a golf course, and there was an assassination attempt on his life. Somebody came out from a tree and fired a couple shots at Al. And during the family secret trial, they talked about the botched attempt on Al Pilado's life. Sam Carlisi grabbed Nicholas DeAndrea and was gun butting him, demanding to know who was responsible. Now here's Black Sam, Wings, Sam Carlisi, boss of the Chicago outfit. And during his trial in the early 90s, they talked about that Jeeps, an associate of theirs, Anthony Donato, Sam Carlisi said this guy could put away 1 million guys, including himself. So Sam put out word. He green-lighted Donato, but he never got found. They never found him. Now, Betty Lauren Maltese almost got killed. During her trial, it was her, a mob boss, and his son. They stole $12 million from the town of Cicero. And the mob guy went to Rocky and Felice, who was out on the street at the time, and asked permission to have her killed. It was her greed that got them pinched. But because Rocky and Felice knew her husband Frank and her so well, he wouldn't do it. Now, during the family secrets trial, I actually seen Frank Jr testify against his father, and he told the story about one day he was in the yard wearing a wire on his father. He got his father to talk about murders back in the day. And at one point, Frank Sr. became suspicious and asked him to see his new tattoo. Frank Calabrese somehow avoided that. If Frank Sr. would have found out he was wearing a wire, he would have killed him right there in the yard. Now, one of the first murders Nick Calabrese talked about was the killing of Michael Albergo, a guy they called Hambone. He got pinched, and he was overheard telling guys at the club if he's going to jail, he's not going alone. Nick Calabrese said he was so scared when him and his brother killed Hambone that he pissed in his pants, but because he was wearing dark pants, his brother never found out. If his brother found out, he would have killed him right there on the spot. Now, I actually went to the John Ambrose trial. This guy was a federal marshal with Chicago connections. They referred to him as the babysitter. When Jimmy and Mikey Marcello would talk about John Ambrose, they would use the term babysitter as code. But this guy was one of the marshals that was guarding and protecting Nick Calabrese. So Jimmy Marcello was trying to get to Ambrose to have Nick Calabrese killed, but they never did. Now here's Anthony Tough Tony Calabrese, no relation to the Calabrese brothers, but actually went to his trial, and his criminal right-hand man, Robert Cooper, actually wore a wire on him. And he suspected him of wearing them. He was actually beating him while the feds picked up the beating. And luckily for Robert Cooper, Tony never found the wire. Otherwise, he would have brutally killed him. Now here's Bobby the Beak Siegel. He was one of the witnesses at the family secrets trial. He's the one that testified he backed out on a robbery with Frank Calabrese because he doesn't do dogs. He was also one of the burglars, and he actually took a lie detector's test. Luckily, he got a pass. He would have been one of the burglars that would have been tortured and killed that broke into Tony Accardo's house. Now, the very first attempt on the Spilatros was going to happen in Nevada. Little Jimmy gave Nick Calabrese a grenade and an Uzi that he took on a train ride. He met up with Frankie Schweiss, John Fecarata, and a couple sleepers like Joey Hansen. The team assembled, but they couldn't really get the two brothers together. They wanted to hit them right outside the courtroom, but the mob bosses wouldn't allow it. Too much heat. Now, this sick man here on the right, who I've actually seen at La Scarola restaurant, I went to his trial, Chicago outfit associate, crooked-ass ex-cop Steve Mandel. He was on tape asking AV permission if he could kill the owner of a strip club in Bridgeview called Polecats. I forget the owner's name, but he came very close from getting tortured and killed. Now, during the Scalise, Bellavia, and Genius trial, it came out that Jerry Scalise, the guy there on the right, he had a hit list. And one of the victims on the hit list, potential victim, was this guy, kind of like the mayor of Taylor Street, Oscar DAngelo. This guy's like a political guy. Some people liked him. A lot of people didn't like him. But Oscar had no idea he came very close to getting killed.